everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Um, we are so happy that we are back. And today we have two special guests. You get two for one.
Yes.
Yeah, this
That's
is
right.
very rare. We don't have two for one like this. But um, before we lose some time, let me introduce myself. Lee, you want to record?
Okay, yes.
Okay. All right, I want to introduce myself. A lot of you already heard many times, 175 times maybe. But just one more time. I grew up in Cambodia. My childhood was beautiful, but when I after I grew up, graduate from high school, I get an opportunity to go to college. That's amazing, exciting. But at the same time, I leave my family behind and I went on by myself. And during my time in college, this horrible thing happened in Cambodia. And you probably already guessed what happened. The communists took over our country and they destroyed our life, destroyed our beautiful country, and our life never be the same. I struggled for 4 horrible years. I almost did not make it, but thank goodness there is God. He must heard my cry, and he must heard that I want to live. I want to survive. So he saved my life, and he protect me during my escape a couple of times. And finally I got out from Cambodia and found my way here to United States. I landed in Connecticut. It's a beautiful state. So from there I I move anytime. I get to enjoy a different wonderful place. But now we are in Florida. We enjoy the sunshine state. So I wrote my story in the book where I could not find my book. Every time when I look for it, it's just like
You got it right there behind you all these times.
There you go.
how how I survived the killing fields. It's my journey, how I make it through. And it's a lot of life lesson learned. And I am happy to share those wonderful lessons. Although it's hard, but it's wonderful that you I learn it and I can share with people so that they don't have to struggle like me. So I am an inspirational speaker. So Ashley, you can always reach out to us. I have a website, sarahim.com. You can find my book or can reach out to me as well. That's all I want to say today.
Well, thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much for the introduction and start the show going. Um, Hi, everyone. I hope you are tuning. If you are tuning in the first time and not know what this platform is about, this is a platform about two former refugee women. Why Sarah is struggling in the landmine in Cambodia. My family also struggled 4 years under communists in Vietnam. So we were neighbors country, not knowing each other, had no idea that 40 years later we will meet in United States and talk together every day. So that's a miracle. But so my family also struggled under the communist regime in from the North Vietnam, which invaded South Vietnam in 1975, and we were the influx of the boat people who escaped out to the sea. So when she was walking in the jungle, my family and I was swimming out in the sea, fighting with pirates and fighting with starvation and dehydration. And it was quite a journey as well. So we made it here to America by a lot of miracles that happened to us during the refugee camp and doing the whole entire harrowing journey. Um, like most of us, we usually have a very traumatic story or history. I mean, not most, like many of us do have it, and we kind of sweep it under the carpet. But once you get older, you just want to reconcile those feelings. You just want to go back and find out exactly what went wrong. How's the situation you want to understand? So that's what I did this past COVID. And I also give birth to a COVID baby, and it's called I Did Not Miss the Boat. And that's my book. And it's also available on Amazon. And 2 years ago, I did a TEDx talk, and that's where the doors opening. People come tap on my shoulder and say that your story is powerful. You need to tell, and people need to hear it. And that gave me a lot of courage to write my story. Hence, the book published about 3 months ago. So you can find the book on my website, also leetran.com, or on Amazon. And also you can find my TEDx talk, which got featured on the Big TED platform last week that I found out. So it's really excited. And the title is also called I Did Not Miss the Boat. And I didn't miss the boat is not just a literal meaning of why we get out of here, but it's a lot of metaphor in that didn't miss the boat. And I didn't want to miss the boat of life. And that's why I go back and find out things. And the theme of the January is about making beginning, reset, and restart. And everybody has a second chance, sometimes third chance, fourth chance. And how are we going to make that? And today we have special guests, like Sarah said, 2 for 1. Is a power duo dynamic couple that not just helping regular people, but they brought the concept of how to help people to start up their second chance from prisons, from youth club, from many aspects of life. When you fail, you have to have that knowledge to how to rebuild your future. And a lot of time people get in trouble because they have messed up their finance problem, or they got into the poverty that they couldn't get out. So I am so honored and thankful that both of you interested and be on our platform and share your story with our audience. So I know you're gonna have to put a draw on the hat to see who's gonna speak first and tell us your story.
Who's going to lead?
Sheyenne and Don, welcome.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you.
you. We're absolutely honored to be here
Definitely.
and appreciate your interest in our story because it is kind of unique. I never know where we should start though. You have any thought?
You have never had trouble starting.
Well, one
You-
lead and one follow.
Yeah, there you go. Well, and we have as of this April, we will have known each other for 40 years. We've been
Oh,
married
wow.
for 37. So, we kind of bat back and forth with each other.
That's beautiful. That's
So
beautiful.
anyway, hopefully it's all good. Well, I guess we're the last interview we were with, and somebody asked how we met, and actually that is kind of just an interesting little piece, just because I think it was a preview of where we might be going, because we consider ourselves to be a little bit on the rebellious side. We like to shake things up. We're not into the status quo. And when we met, we were both working for a manufacturing company up in the Northeast in Vermont, and the everybody in the plant was on strike.
Uh-huh.
But neither of us believed in what they were striking about. It made no sense. It wasn't logical. And so we weren't participating. And so we crossed the picket line, as the rebels we are, and ended up working inside the plant. But I was an operator. I was a machine operator, and he was somebody who fixed machines. Well, guess what? There weren't many machines running. And so he was kind of bored, and he was looking for something to do, and he ends up coming up to me and starts talking. Well, the funny part is that I mean, I had never met him before then, but apparently he really flustered me that day because I was running this big machine that had a big magnet on the bottom of it. And I put all these metal parts on this machine, and you turn on the magnet and this big grinding wheel comes down and hits the metal parts. Well, I just got so taken with this guy that I forgot to turn on the magnet.
He was the magnet.
Yeah, right. He was the magnet. But he comes down and hits these metal parts, and the parts all fly out of the machine. And
Oh
then
my God, what did you do, Don? Just
Josh,
merely being there.
Now he had the machine to
Josh.
fix.
Oh,
well,
wow.
and he is a military veteran. He was in the Marine Corps. His natural tendency was to hit the floor.
Oh,
Crazy one.
that is such a beautiful story. That's,
Yeah.
Nobody knows why he ever came back and talked to me again after that, but he did.
yeah, I'll bet he'd take you out for dinner just to make up.
She should have taken me to dinner.
Yeah, he figured I was trying to kill him or something. I don't know. But anyway, that was our interesting beginning.
And you didn't know that journey take you 40 years later, right? It just, yeah.
That's right. That's right. And you know, it's interesting because I don't remember everything that I told you guys, but you know, his family grew up in generational poverty. And you know, neither of your parents even made it to high school, did they?
No.
No. And so they were you know, there were 7 kids in your family.
Yes, 7 kids.
And you know, you always have told me, what about dinner time?
I was usually the last one to the table, so I didn't get much. Believe it or not, when I went to high school, I wasn't big enough to be the 98-pound weakling.
Yeah, he was kind of skinny, kind of small. But you know, the thing was, and because of that, people were always telling him he wouldn't amount to much. But he did go to the Marine Corps after school, and you learned a lot there, I'm assuming. Both technical trades as well as you know, a lot of personal growth and development, where
Yeah.
they're teaching you about what you're capable of doing.
Right.
And so, you know, many years later, he came to the understanding that he thought he could do, he fixed copying machines and other office equipment. And so he was fixing all these machines for other companies. And one day he came home and he said, you know, I think I can do a better job on my own. And he was absolutely right. I mean, because he had the ability to sell. He was really good at selling machines as well as fixing them. He was a pretty good teacher and mentor. He ended up with people working with him and for him. And, you know, the greatest gift that I feel he gave our family was that entrepreneurial spirit that he didn't even know originally that he had, allowed him to build a big enough business that he had some free time where he was able to be the coach for our 2 sons in basketball and baseball, and you went to all of their school functions too, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yep. And there weren't many dads there, but he had that freedom because of his entrepreneurship. And you know, it wasn't until several years later when he didn't feel as well. His body was starting to stress out under all of the heavy equipment and stuff that he was always carrying and moving and all of that. That we decided that we needed to find a way to sell his business. And, you know, I take responsibility. I came up with a creative idea that we thought would work, and it didn't work so well. And
it wasn't your fault. It was the people that was dealt with.
Oh, well, that's true. I mean, you know, we had it set up where they didn't give us a bunch of money on the front end of the sale. They were supposed to continue to pay us out of the profits of the business. And a year and a half into it, they drove the business into the ground. We weren't prepared for that. And we ended up losing everything pretty much. Lost the house, lost a vehicle. If it hadn't been for one of our kids, we would have been in the streets. They basically took us into their 1-bedroom apartment and said, I'll sleep on the couch, Mom and Dad, you go to the bedroom. And it was like, wow.
That must be a wake-up call.
Yeah, yes. Very humbling to have to rely on your child to help you through some things. And You know, he was very sweet. He was very helpful. He gave us the space to kind of get our thoughts together again and try to figure out where to go from there. And you know, we couldn't have restarted without him. I mean, we could have ended up in a homeless shelter.
Wow.
So it was really kind of interesting that as we went through this, and I'm sure you ladies understand because you've both been through difficulties, and I think I heard one of you say something about this, but what we started to feel was that even though we'd been through this crash, we had knowledge, just like Sarah's mom had. You know, we had knowledge about business, we had knowledge about how to help people start businesses. And here, when we crashed like that, we came face to face with the systems in our country that are supposed to be helping people. But we saw that they were actually holding people down, that they were not allowing people to crawl out of the poverty trap. Because, you know, unfortunately, from our perspective, there's still too many people who make a lot of money by making sure there are people who are caught in poverty. That's not the way our country was built. That's not the way it's supposed to be, but that's how we saw it. And so our healing process involved us figuring out how can we go to people who are in the prisons, in the homeless shelters, working with kids that are in danger of being recruited by gangs, and how can we teach them the things that we had learned through his successful business. So that became the why for what we're doing, is that we took that pain and that frustration that we saw, and we decided we needed to channel it in a way that would not only help to heal us, but we could help to heal others as well. And I'm pretty sure you ladies know what we're talking about with that idea.
That is such a noble idea. And what I meant by wake up call is like probably something that you learn from not getting the contract right. And that's how you let them get you to the ground, by not getting the money up front. So I am sure that is a valuable piece of information to learn. And how great of you take that failure and rebuild it, and not just that, but also go into the places that where many people got, it's like a hopeless place situation. And a prison is just a temporary place to hold you out of society, but at some point you have to re-enter the society. What skill do you have to sustain yourself so you're not falling back into the prison? Or you know, there's just so many things that those are the places I think need help the most. I think, you know, prison's the one, homeless shelter is another place, and domestic victims that do not know how to be independent. So that is just so cool. So how did you do that? How do you bring the system into prison? You just go and talk to the prison guard people who say, I want to, like, how do you do that?
Well, you know, we're big on building what we call strategic alliances. So, you know, we do a lot of partnering with nonprofits. So like there's one in North Carolina that I became friends with, and they kind of looked at what we had created in terms of teaching entrepreneurial skills. And even more, we love talking about entrepreneurial apprenticeship programs. And, you know, I know you've got lots of stories you'll have to tell about working with the kids with that.
Oh, yes.
Because that was another one. Yeah. You have anything come to your mind you want to share about that?
I think working with the kids and seeing how really smart these kids are.
Yeah. So you have a system, a course or something that you let them follow, or you teach them one-on-one or by group, or I'm interested to hear how you do that.
Well, we've done mostly with groups. You know, it's a little bit easier to work with the youth because usually they've got a roof over their head some way, shape, or form. a lot of the adults we end up working with, it's sometimes difficult initially because they're trying to get to a place where they've got a stable roof over their head.
Yeah.
And a lot of people coming out of prison do not have that. Obviously, if somebody's in a homeless shelter, they're trying to, find that stability so that they can think about entrepreneurship.
One thing about the homeless shelters, at least in North Carolina, they're only allowed to stay so long.
That's true.
So their big thing is survival.
Right.
When you're in survival mode,
Yeah.
you can't think of much other things to do.
It's true.
You're looking
And
for
a lot of that
job.
is all over mindset too. Some of the people, I think they are where they are because they could not reset their mindset about
Mhm. That's
certain
true.
things.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
Their belief system. So when you teach them, empower them to have a confidence to trust themselves, then they have hope that they can be somewhere.
Well, and that's exactly why we ended up creating an apprenticeship program, but that wasn't even our idea. That came from where, hon? Who did we learn from?
Who's that?
The teens. The teens.
About the teens?
Yeah, they're the ones who taught us
Oh, yeah.
how to teach
you're talking about
them.
the first group.
The
Okay.
first group.
We've done several times, so
Uh,
got to go back and think about it. Yeah, that was very interesting because the teens were actually giving us a hard time.
They were.
I mean, they were swearing,
mhm.
not listening, interrupting,
Texting.
texting, stuff like that.
So
But
what's the incentive to motivate them to learn?
we go ahead and tell them what we did.
We got frustrated with them because they didn't want to work with us initially. And and a lot of these kids were already in foster care. They were on probation. They were dropping out of school.
Yeah.
And they couldn't figure out why we were there. And we were really there to help.
Yep.
And so one day we walked in and just said to them, you guys told us on the first day that you like helping people. Is that right? And they're like, yeah, we like helping people. And so we looked at them, we said, well, if you were trying to help people and they were being mean to you and rude and cussing you out, what would you do? And one guy looks at us and goes, I'd leave. And Don and I looked at each other and we turned around and walked out of the room.
Here's a taste of your own medicine.
And they chased us down. They
Okay.
begged us to come back.
Oh, that's brilliant. And I before you said that, I was just saying that you could train them because they're going to be a perfect trainer to train the next generation or
Yes.
Exactly.
So that was a good way to have things turn around. So did it work afterward?
Well, yes. After having a conversation with them to see what they thought should be done,
Yeah.
we took their inputs. That's the trouble with school systems today. They don't listen to the students.
Yeah.
We decided we were doing the same thing. So we decided to listen to them. And so we had a nice long talk. And things worked out pretty good.
They did. They
I
did.
mean-
The kids decided that they wanted to create their own basketball tournament, their own community cookout, and their own flea market. So where did you take them as part of that?
Oh, I took them around and took them to this big national sports chain for they sold all kind of sporting stuff. And when we went in, I think I had 3 teenagers with me, and all of a sudden they started behaving. And I turned around and said, "Okay, where's the kids I brought in here?" Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, wow.
Unbelievable. They were away from that group of other kids.
Yeah.
So it was really, really shocking.
Oh, wow. Well,
They were.
they
just
had
like-
it in them. They just didn't
Yes.
exercise that.
They did, and they ended up getting their own sponsors. They got
Yes.
Target to give them gift cards to be sponsors, and so they
Mm.
ended up doing their own grocery shopping for the
Wow.
cookout. They did their own cooking. They ran the whole basketball tournament. It was amazing, and the thing was, at the end, they got to take home the money they made.
That is the incentive. I think that is the incentive. So are you locating in Georgia or?
Right now, we're in Port Richey, Florida.
Fort Ritchie, Florida. But you can actually use this program online anywhere now.
Yes.
So I
yeah.
would love to tap into that knowledge of how you your systems and how you teach them entrepreneurship. I think not even just the troubled kids. I think the regular kids in the regular public schools or private school even needs to understand how to spend money, what is essential, what is the basic necessity needs for budgeting, those kind of things before they get crazy with the credit card that credit card company offered them at college. They just
Yeah.
know how
Yeah.
to swipe it. That's the
Yeah.
Yeah, with no responsibility
Well,
attached to it in too many cases.
the thing that really changed their attitude was when we asked for their input.
Yeah.
They felt like they were part. They were putting
right.
what they call skin in the game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So to them, it's just very important. And when we did that, everything changed. It was like day and night.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
they're
It's
not
human
doing this.
psychology. I mean, we want to be validated. We want to be heard,
Feel
seen, and
feel
feel
important.
matter. Yeah.
Feel
Mhm.
important. Yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
feel important.
Exactly. And they like to create.
Mhm.
That's the thing. And we talk about this a lot, that we believe we were all made in the image and likeness of a creator, and we were born
Right.
to create.
Right.
So once they got into creating their own flyers, creating their own, events on Facebook and on a website, and, got out talking to people, they were using those, God-given gifts to go out here and create. And that's when they became happy.
Right.
True.
So are those kids not the prison kids or
They were headed that way. We hope we
okay.
may have redirected them through the program.
I'm sure you did. I'm
Mm.
absolutely sure you did because
Well, how about Lance?
Well, there you go. Tell her that story. Yeah, one young man was quite. He definitely changed during the program.
He tried to get a part-time job. Nobody would hire him
uh-huh.
because of his ego. So I actually taught him a lesson using what he thought was his main thing. He loved basketball. He thought he was going to go to the NBA. So I told him, I said, Lance, I can take 3 girls in here, and he was several inches taller than me, and these girls were shorter than me, and I said you'd have trouble scoring a basket against them. He kind of laughed. Well, we got to gym the next day, so I told the girls what to do. I've had experience coaching,
Uh-huh.
and so I set him up in a defense, and he had trouble scoring.
Mm.
I told I told them, I said, you 3 girls, young ladies, are independent retailers, business owners. He is Walmart. And he had
Great
trouble.
analogy.
Yeah.
Okay. So his friends over there on the side were starting to laugh. But I walked over and with Lance and I told him what I did. So I have experience coaching, and I took one of the defenses that one of the best college basketball coach in the country uses.
Yeah.
When I told him who it was and where I got it from, all the laughter stopped.
Yeah.
And I said, look, guys, Lance, you're good in basketball at this level. Your next level is college. Those guys are bigger and stronger. NBA is even bigger and stronger. Now, I hope you make it. I really do. Just don't forget me. But what happens if you don't make it?
Right.
What is your backup plan?
Right.
I mean, I really hope you make it, but you've got to have a backup plan if you don't make it. That's what I told all the guys, even the ones that weren't in our class. So they were listening.
Mm-hmm.
But I used that love of basketball
Yeah.
to teach.
Yeah.
And he understood what I'm saying because it was basketball.
Right.
And then the attitude apparently shifted, because what happened after he finished the camp?
Well, after camp, we get a call from the director of the place we were using. And he says, what'd you do to Lance? I said, well, what do you mean? He says, he got his first part-time job ever. I said, well, Yeah, I think he checked his attitude at the door, and
That is
obviously,
so wonderful.
so I
You
love to hear that.
literally see the life change under your eyes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
So how long are these programs, and who qualified to participate, and would you tell our audience a little bit about that? Like if people want to stem up from your idea and develop somewhere, do you have like just focus in one place, or do you have it all over, or is that an enterprise? Is that
Well, in this case, it was about 2 months.
Yeah, we typically can do an apprenticeship program in between 90 days, typically 2 to 3 months is pretty good for really putting people through a good apprenticeship program and getting them to a place where they can earn some money. And,
Mhm.
we live in a motorhome. We're mobile for a reason because we want to take
That's right.
this to different communities and different
Right.
places and be able to, just park in an area and be able to set up shop there and train people in the local area on how to do this. It is our business, but we're not a nonprofit. We're a social enterprise.
Mhm.
So, we sell coaching programs, we sell training programs, we sell 10,000 different products as a way to fund our work. Because
Right.
sometimes we'll find an organization that will actually pay us to do the work, but if we can't find someone to pay us to do it, we do all these other things to keep enough money in the bank so that we can afford to do it whether we're paid or not. That's what we
Wow.
really want to
So
do. We want to reach
if I
more.
understood correctly,
It
so
is.
if you would train a group of apprentice and maybe a sponsor or someone will pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's such a great idea because there's, people need to have a better society. Oh, now I can actually see you.
Yeah, yeah. The sun
Woo!
went down, so it started getting too dark. We
Yeah.
apologize for that.
No, that's okay. Now it's okay. I can see the beautiful smiles. So this is a really great idea. I would love definitely to learn more about how you do. Um, eh, the bottom line is it doesn't matter who pays for it. You're changing lives.
Yeah,
You are changing
exactly.
lives,
Exactly.
and you make a difference. You bring the goodness back to society because there's a lot of people who going through the wrong path, make the wrong decision because not they're bad people, but they're just because that they mingle in the wrong crowd,
Mm-hmm.
falling into a bad situation. So
Mm-hmm.
what you do is helping them to get back on track and be able to um, use that investment of their knowledge to go on and build their lives and always got a great beginnings. So
Yep.
that is so powerful. And I personally want to thank you for what you both doing for the communities and for the youth and for the inmates, and that is just such a great concept. So
Thank
your apprenticeship is mostly young male, or because it sounds like
it depends, our big vision, and this has been a challenge because we haven't been able to find the right people to be, like a social enterprise investor or even a
Mhm.
philanthropist who would really like this. But the ideal for working with the adults is we envision having what we call residential entrepreneur incubators.
Mhm.
So if somebody is homeless, they've lost a home, or they're returning back to society after being released, we need to have the ability to put a roof over their head so
Yeah.
that they don't have the survival issues to worry about. Once we can take care of that, then
Right.
we can put the adults through these kinds of programs and be able to get them back on their feet. And we specialize in a special kind of entrepreneurship. We call it social entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So that's what we teach them to do is, do you have a purpose? Do you have a passion? Do you have a mission? Let's see if we can help you figure out a way to build an income around that
Yeah.
so that you can create a for-profit business, but let's integrate having a social mission with it as well. So
That is so good. I hope someday I make enough money that I can be a sponsor and help you help somebody who's out there need help. I volunteer quite for a bit for my local community as well with homeless people or, so maybe we can talk on the side to see, if something that you can pass on that knowledge or help or even pro bonos or actual programs or whatever.
mhm,
But I really
absolutely.
appreciate you coming up here to share with us how you help people rebuild their beginnings. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. We appreciate the
Yes.
opportunity to share.
Yes.
Well, I could have asked you a lot more questions, but I think our time is coming up. So, so we might, yeah, we'll check back with you. But yeah, we have 30 minutes, and we tend to start to get an overflow lately. But
We can talk for a very long time when
that's
given the
fine.
opportunity.
It's
Yeah, yeah. You feel free to put your contact information below the video, our
Okay.
conversation video.
Okay.
Yeah, just post your website, your contact, however you want people to contact you.
Absolutely. And, we'll put that there. And also,